Today we are working on Psalm 49. Psalm 49 is sometimes used to help people increase their psychic powers, to overcome envy of the prosperity of others, and for help when dealing with serious illness, and it's especially used in healing high fevers. I like to use this to clear our minds of negative thoughts about money. Clear our minds of negative thoughts about money. The way we work psalm magic is very simple and very effective. We take the psalm in question and we read it out loud all the way once without stopping. That's called an incantation. And then we go back through that same psalm and we take it one verse at a time. We contemplate each of those verses and go underneath the hood a little bit and see if we can find some occult meanings, some hidden meanings in there, not just at face value, but what's it really saying under the surface. Those occult meanings, we call them magic seeds, very potent magic seeds, because when we search and dig and really work up a sweat mentally and apply what we find there to whatever the situation is that we brought to the psalm, we, in a very real way, are taking those seeds of magic and planting them into the fertile grounds of our minds, where they take root, they grow, they blossom forth, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that is exactly what we are going to do together right now with Psalm 49. Hear this, all ye people, give ear, all ye inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline mine ear to a parable, I will open my dark saying upon the harp. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heel shall compass me about? They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever, that he should still live forever, and not see corruption. For he seeth that wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their sayings. Selah. Like sheep they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them. And the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their beauty shall consume them in the grave from their dwelling. But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. Selah. Be not afraid when one is made rich, when the glory of his house is increased. For when he dieth, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. Though while he lived he blessed his soul, and men will praise thee when thou dost well to thyself. He shall go to the generation of his fathers, they shall never see the light. Man that is in honor and understandeth not is like the beasts that perish. You can think of this as maybe your internal teacher giving you a little lesson in prosperity here. Because we misunderstand. We don't understand the difference between prosperity, which comes from infinite intelligence, and wealth that we create for ourselves. So it says, hear this, all ye people, give ear, all ye inhabitants of the world. So this is not one of those psalms that's speaking of the congregation in a tabernacle and things like this. He's actually talking to every single person in the universe. Both low and high, rich and poor together. You all better listen to me, he's saying. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. So we are being instructed to meditate on understanding, our heart, our soul, on sphere number 3 with the goddess, understanding. That's Binah. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, he says. He's telling us that he's going to speak of wisdom to us now, but we can also become as unto the psalmist ourselves, so that our mouths speak of wisdom because our souls are residing within the goddess, within infinite intelligence as the mother. I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my dark saying upon the harp. So this is very bardic. You can think of the druidic bards with their harps, telling stories, telling parables, reciting poetry for the purpose of instructing. It's a wonderful image to have, that your internal guide is like a bard of old. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about? The days of evil are what we live in. And it's not something specific to this year or this century or this eon, but the days of evil are the days that we live in anytime we live on this earth, because this earth is not our home. This is not what infinite intelligence created for us. This is the post-fall experience that we have if you're looking in the Bible. So where we are supposed to be living is Eden, and we actually are living there, but we're asleep, and we're having this nightmare that we're living in this evil place that we have here. The iniquity of my heel shall compass me about. How does the iniquity of your own heel compass you about? We've got everything backwards here. Everything here is upside down. If you look at something in this world, you can pretty much assume it's a distortion. They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever, that he should still live forever and not see corruption. So I'm taking 1, 2, 3, 4 verses together because they are all one very long run-on sentence that this bard is singing to us on his harp. They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother. You can't buy your way or anybody else's way out of this world of illusion. Your money is no good in heaven. Your money is no good in Eden. But the good news about that is you don't need it in Eden, because that's where we already live. You don't need anybody else to buy your ransom. You don't need anybody else to save you. You just need to be helped in waking up to the fact that you are safe. You are asleep. You are having a dream. But where you live, you don't need to worry about money. You don't need to worry about wealth. You don't need to worry about anything, because all your needs are met. That's how you were created. You were created to be taken care of. But for as long as we are living in the days of evil, we don't see things that way. So we need to meditate, as it said at the beginning, on our heart of understanding. And we have to understand this. We have to come back to this idea every single day. I actually live in perfect prosperity, in infinite intelligence, in infinite wealth. I don't need for anything because it's all provided for me. And I don't have to buy my way into anything. Nobody has to buy my way out of anything. I'm already taken care of. Trusting your wealth rather than infinite intelligence here is what it's talking about. That if your wealth in this world is more important than God, then it's become an idol to you. It's something that makes you its slave. Because anything that you make God in this world that's not God makes you its slave. So you are a slave to money if you think that your money is more important than God. That's trusting in your wealth rather than trusting in God. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever. So the redemption of your soul is precious, but nobody can afford it here. Nobody has the amount of money necessary to redeem somebody's soul. That happens when they wake up. That's up to them and infinite intelligence and their own inner guidance. So looking to other people to save you here, or thinking that you can save another person here, is folly, especially if it has anything to do with buying your way into salvation. that he should still live forever and not see corruption. See, that's what's the truth about us, is that our souls don't die. Our souls don't see corruption. We were created eternal. To even say immortal is missing the point, because immortal means not mortal. There is no mortality in infinite intelligence. That is just a concept that is of the world of separation, which is why we live in the days of evil, because the days of evil include dying and corruption and decay and hatred and violence and war and all of those things, all of the things that we see. You can turn on the television or the news now and hear all about it, but you've always been able to hear about it to some degree or another. It's not anything special about this day and age, the days of evil that we live in. For he seeth that wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish and leave their wealth to others. So you can't take it with you, is basically what he's saying here. So trusting in your wealth and creating a bunch of money here is not the answer to prosperity. Prosperity isn't about you accumulating things, accumulating wealth, because when your body dies, your connection to all of that so-called prosperity is separated. You're separated from it, and you have to leave it to somebody else. But that's not the point of prosperity, is to leave money for people, is to put your name on buildings, is to amass large fortunes. That's not the point of prosperity. Prosperity is having your needs met when you need to have your needs met, and recognizing that comes straight from infinite intelligence, because you were created to be taken care of. Infinite intelligence doesn't want you to be without, doesn't want you to have need or poverty or lack. And it also doesn't want you to live in the days of evil. So it's about, going back to the beginning of the psalm, having that meditation of your heart be in Bina, and recognizing that you are safe, you are in the womb, and you do have understanding, and that you were born with understanding. And if you can let go of all of the falseness that this world teaches you, you can recognize that all of your needs can be met at every moment of time and point of space, and you don't have to accumulate, and you definitely don't have to trust in your wealth. You trust in infinite intelligence to take care of you. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. People have this misunderstanding about what they're here to do. They're here to make a name for themselves and a legacy for themselves, and you want people to remember your name when you've died, and the way to do that is you make a lot of money, and you make sure that you have created all kinds of things for people to remember you by. And it's telling us that infinite intelligence doesn't care about that. That doesn't, quote, get you into heaven. What gets you into heaven is your awakening that you're already in it. That's what you do. You wake up to the fact that you already are living in perfection right now, but you're asleep. So your job is that understanding, so that you can gently awaken to the truth, not doubling down on illusion here, thinking that it's about things and wealth and money and things and wealth and money and my name and my legacy and all of that kind of stuff. And even if you're not one of those people that is interested in large sums of money and endowments and all of that, you still can look at the tendency toward that on some other level. What do you think that your value is here? It's usually something that you can do for others, or something that you've done to others, or something that you've created. Somehow you're good because ... not just you're good. You're divine because you did ... or because you do ... not because you're divine. Just because that's how you were created. So it's important to understand that your prosperity comes to you when you realize and recognize that you were created that way. You're created prosperous. You're created joyous. You're created free. You're created lovable. You're created important. And you don't have to prove it to the world, because proving it to the world is like casting your pearls before swine. The world doesn't deserve you. The world of corruption here doesn't deserve you. So you don't need to get validation from this world over and over again, because you're trying to get validation from something that doesn't matter to infinite intelligence. What matters to infinite intelligence is you, not what you did here. or what you left to people here. Now, that's not to say that your actions and your thoughts towards other people don't make a difference. Of course they do. But you're motivated not because you want to have a legacy. You're motivated because you want to do the right thing in the present moment. Of course you're going to be compassionate. Of course you're going to be giving. Of course you're going to be loving. But you're doing that because that's your function as a soul, not because you want some sort of brownie points, or you want to leave some sort of legacy, or you want to be remembered fondly. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. So your degree doesn't get you into heaven. Your accomplishments don't get you into heaven. Having people say, isn't she wonderful? Isn't he wonderful? Oh, so amazing. That doesn't matter to infinite intelligence. None of that matters. It doesn't matter one way or the other because it's not a thing in infinite intelligence's mind. All infinite intelligence cares about is you waking up to the truth about yourself. And if you can help other people wake up, so much the better. But you do that because it feels right, because it's a good thing to do, not because you're somehow collecting awards, or not because you're somehow making a name for yourself. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their saying, Selah. It's really hard to understand the folly of trying to get approval from this world and trying to leave a name for yourself in this world and trying to prove to other people in this world of your worth. It's hard to recognize how foolish that is when this world constantly is encouraging such activity. This world really cares most about what everybody thinks. It doesn't really care so much about the fact that you're a soul, that you're straight from infinite intelligence, that you're here to be a light to the world. It didn't care about that. It cares about, what do you do? What have you accomplished? What are you leaving to society? What are you giving to me, basically? What have you done for me lately is what this world asks of you. So that's folly. And looking to this world to validate you is not going to get you closer to infinite intelligence. It's actually going to get farther from infinite intelligence, because this world is programmed to validate you in ways that are incorrect. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their beauty shall consume in the grave from their dwelling. If you look to mortality to give you your identity, then when the mortality becomes mortal, becomes dead, then you are in crisis, because everything that you've put your faith in is then subject to death. And that what that does is it doesn't just wake you up to the truth, it reinforces the illusion. And so that's why when things happen, if you believe in reincarnation, that's why people get reincarnated over and over again, because they want to come back and do it again. If you've ever played a slot machine in Vegas, it's really hard to stop once you start. It's no, one more, just one more. Oh no, one more spin. Oh, this one. It's hard to pull yourself away from that. And it's the same kind of thing that gets us interested in another incarnation and another incarnation, because we want to keep doing the mortal things. We want to keep thinking, if I do it again, eventually it'll work. If I do it again, eventually it'll work. It never works here. This world isn't set up to work. This world is set up for you to die. So our only alternative is to recognize that this world is not where our salvation lies. Our salvation lies in our own awakening, waking up to the truth of who we are. And it talks about that here. It says, but God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. In other words, when I wake up and I don't use my mind to come back into incarnation after incarnation, if I wake up and I recognize, oh, I'm home already. I don't have anything I need to do. I don't need to get any more wealth. I don't have to prove anything. I don't need to make a name for myself. I just have to be myself. I just have to be the wonderful soul that I am. I'm living in heaven. I didn't have to get into heaven. I just had to awaken to it. So that's God redeeming your soul from the power of the grave. But that can only happen when we wake up. And if we refuse to wake up, God's not going to force us. God will just wait and wait and wait. Be not thou afraid when one is made rich, when the glory of his house is increased. For when he dieth, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. We know very wealthy people that some of them are very nice. Sometimes people are just prosperous and they're doing the right thing, and that's wonderful. But we know that's not the case for a lot of wealthy people. A lot of wealthy people get wealthy because they're going after wealth for its own sake. And some of those people are really mean and really corrupt and really abuse their wealth and use their wealth as weapons against people just for their own selfish gain. And it's telling you, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Because when that happens, and he or she gets very wealthy, even if they're very corrupt, it's all going away. It's not going to last because they are looking to the mortal world to give them something of value. And we've just discovered that doesn't work. Looking to the mortal world for value, all it does is disappoint you because it's going to die. There's nothing in the mortal world that lasts forever. It's all beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end, death, death, death. The only part of the mortal world that is eternal is the cycle of life and death, which is hearkening back to a truth that is that there is no death ultimately. But in infinite intelligence's world, we don't go through that. We don't need that. It needs to be that way in the world of separation. So you don't have to worry about it. Let them do their thing. This is not your home. You don't have to worry about the comings and goings of people like that here. You can use your magic to protect yourself. You can use your magic to help you through these things while you're here. But ultimately, you don't need to worry about any of it because you're going to wake up and none of this is going to matter anymore. When he dieth, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. You can't take it with you. Though while he lived, he blessed his soul, and men will praise thee when thou doest well to thyself. He shall go to the generation of his fathers. They shall never see light. So for as long as somebody is addicted to their wealth as the source of their good, they're going to not wake up. And they're going to have life after life after life, after karma, after karma, after karma, back and forth and back and forth. And that's their choice. That's their choice. They can do that. But you're not going to do that because you're coming to the realization that I don't need that anymore. I'm not going to be looking to the world of mortality for my happiness anymore. I'm going to let infinite intelligence take care of me while I'm in this mortal world. And I'm going to get my needs met. And I'm going to live prosperously, but that's very different than being a rich person who's very poor. And that's what this psalmist is talking about. These people that have a lot of riches in the world, but they're very poor and they're tragic figures because they can't escape the cycle of their own insanity. Whereas if we're working prosperity magic, we're not saying, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, give me, to build up wealth like them. We're saying, I want my needs met. I want to have a lavish, prosperous life here, but I know that I don't need to take any of that with me because it doesn't come from me. It comes from infinite intelligence. And I trust that infinite intelligence is going to take care of me. And that's prosperous thinking, where it says, they that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches. That's not the kind of wealth that we want. That's not prosperous. We want to trust in infinite intelligence and allow our prosperity to be the natural outcome of infinite intelligence's will for us. Then it ends with, man that is in honor and understandeth not is like the beasts that perish. So unless you get understanding, where you sit and you contemplate and you ask for understanding, then you are just going to naturally gravitate toward the cycle of birth and death. You're going to naturally gravitate toward the mortal world. And you're going to perish and perish and perish. But it's saying that's not necessary. That if you get understanding, you can lift yourself out of this desire to constantly be in this cycle of birth and death, and you can wake up and exist within the world of truth. And that's where infinite intelligence wants you to open your eyes, because that's where you're asleep right now, where everything is already permanently perfect and you have no worries, and there is no need for you to worry about anything. There is no violence, there is no poverty, there is no famine, there is none of that. And that's what we are going to wake up to. But we have to stop being addicted to this mortal world. And so once we start seeing the mortal world for what it is, then we can choose against it and start opening up our second sight, our true spiritual sight, to the world that lies beyond it, which we are already living in. So the only way to do that is by getting understanding. And we are being instructed to meditate frequently, sit and ask for understanding. So you just keep coming back to this psalm every single day until you get a sense of peace and certainty about whatever it is that you brought to the psalm. And once you get that sense of peace and certainty, you know that your spell has taken and you don't have to cast on that subject anymore, and you can go on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.